up, y'all? Welcome back to the ZayMoolaSportsPodcast. I'm your host, Isaiah, and we just got some breaking news in the NFL as Mike Tomlin has announced he is stepping down as coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers after 19 seasons, and the Mike Tomlin era has officially ended in Pittsburgh. And it was a tremendous era as in 19 seasons, he won 193 games, won 8 division titles, made 2 Super Bowl appearances, won 1 Super Bowl, and never had a losing season. Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, and we'll probably never see another run like this because it's rare for a coach to be a part of one organization for this long, y'all, and have the success that he had. Most coaches are lucky to be a part of one organization for 4 or 5 years, but he was a part of the Steelers organization, y'all, for nearly 20 years and had a great deal of success, y'all, and he is still one of the best coaches in the NFL. I know the Steelers have struggled, the last few years, y'all, but make no mistake about it, Mike Tomlin is still one of the best coaches in the NFL, still one of the elite coaches in the NFL, y'all, and he automatically, in my opinion, becomes the most coveted coach on the market outside of John Harbaugh, y'all, because there's not another coach outside of John Harbaugh that has this, the track record and has the success that Mike Tomlin does, y'all. So a lot of teams are going to want his services. But it was time for he and the Steelers to part ways, y'all, because although Mike Tomlin, did a tremendous job in Pittsburgh, y'all, they just have not had the same success in recent years as they've had, in the beginning years of the Mike Tomlin era. As we know, they have not won a playoff game since 2016, y'all. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's just absolutely unacceptable. This is one of the most storied franchises in NFL history. They've won 6 Super Bowls, y'all. They're used to making deep playoff runs, but the fact that they just keep going to the playoffs and immediately losing the wild card round, y'all, we knew at some point that they were going to get tired of it, y'all. And I think Mike Tomlin, too, he probably got tired of it as well because he sees that the Steelers are no longer the dominant team in the AFC. They're no longer the dominant team in the NFL, y'all. I mean, they're a pretty average team right now. You look at their best players, all of them are older, like TJ Watt and Jalen Ramsey and Cam Hayward. This is a team that doesn't have too many, young, rising players they can build around, y'all. Again, a lot of their players are, older veteran players who are already established at this point. And I think Mike Tomlin just saw this team as no longer, y'all, being able to really, compete for Super Bowls in a very tough AFC, but not even just the AFC, in a very tough NFL, y'all, because once upon a time, the Steelers, they were the best team in the AFC. They were, consistently competing for AFC championship games in the AFC, y'all. But that's no longer the case because so many teams, have surpassed them. Obviously, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, and the Ravens, and the Texans, y'all. All these teams surpassed it. Even my Tennessee Titans, we've been to an AFC championship game more recently than the Pittsburgh Steelers, y'all. And so this is the franchise right now that's an absolute limo because they have, they don't have stability at the quarterback position, y'all. We know Aaron Rodgers, he's 42 years old, and that was probably his last game that he played last night. And even if he comes back, y'all, I mean, they need a future plan at that quarterback position. They have not been able to stabilize that position, since Big Ben Roethlisberger retired back in 2022, y'all. They tried Kenny Pickett and then Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and now Aaron Rodgers, but it's time for them to get a young guy in place, y'all, that they can groom and develop. And then you look throughout this roster again, they have a lot of older players on this team, y'all, that they need to figure out what they're going to do with them. I mean, TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, obviously, they're 2 Steelers legends, but I think the Steelers, it's time for them to rebuild, y'all, because again, they're in limbo right now. They're stuck in purgatory, and that is the worst place to be. You either want to be competing for championships or you want to be competing to get the first overall pick in the draft, y'all. But you don't want to be in the middle where you're just an average team, man. You want to either be great or you want to be really bad, y'all. Right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're just average. They're stuck like they've been, the past 9 or 10 seasons. And so I would think about trading TJ Watt and Cameron Hayward and Jalen Ramsey. I know they just got Jalen Ramsey last season, y'all, but I really seriously think about that because you saw with having those guys this season, they didn't compete for a championship. So what's the point of keeping those guys, y'all? The Pittsburgh Steelers are nowhere close to competing for a championship. It's time for them to enter a rebuild. And I know the Steelers, historically, they've never done that because basically, y'all, since the 70s, the Pittsburgh Steelers have at least always been a pretty good team, right? I mean, it's been a long time since they've had a losing season, right? Even the season that they don't make it to the playoffs, they still have a 500 record. So I know that the franchise, I know the fans, would it be used to being in a rebuilding type situation, y'all, but I think that's what would be best for them because to me, I don't see how they can get any better than where they are right now. And there's so many, needs on this roster, y'all, that has to be addressed, like the wide receiver position, the quarterback position, the cornerback position. I mean, they really need to improve this team, y'all. y'all. I think the best way they can improve their team is by trading off the great veteran players that they have now. Again, it would be tough because especially with Cam Hayward and TJ Watt, they done so much for that franchise, y'all. But, it's really bad that TJ Watt has never won a playoff game in Pittsburgh. I mean, TJ Watt's one of the greatest edge rushers in NFL history, and he's never had a chance to compete for a Super Bowl, y'all. So I would love to see, them trade him to a team that has a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. Same with Cam Hayward or same with Jalen Ramsey, right? It's just time, y'all, to fully embrace a rebuild in Pittsburgh, y'all. It's going to be interesting to see if they do that. I think they should do it. And this is going to be a coveted job, though, y'all. Even though, again, that this franchise is in limbo right now, this is still going to be a very coveted job because it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're one of the most iconic franchises in NFL history, y'all. And every coach would love to be a part of this organization. And the biggest thing I love about the Steelers is that they don't fire coaches immediately, y'all. They give you a chance to, to show what you can do, give you a time to, get a good roster behind you, and then show why you should be the coach for the long term, right? They did that with Mike Tomlin. They did that with Bill Cowher. They don't just quickly dismiss a coach, y'all. Even with this, right? They didn't fire Mike Tomlin. He chose to walk away on his own terms, y'all. So I just love the Pittsburgh Steelers because of that. They're a very classy franchise, very classy organization, and because of that, this is going to be one of the most coveted jobs, y'all. But yeah, man, this is huge news. Again, Mike Tomlin is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history, and now he has stepped down after 19 seasons as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do, y'all. I know there's some rumors that he might, go to TV, go to television route, I should say, and become, part of Fox Sports, kind of like what Sean Payton did a couple of years ago. And then next year in 2027, then he'll, be ready to become a coach again. He could do that, y'all. I think there's some pretty attractive jobs on the market right now, like my Tennessee Titans, like the New York Giants and Atlanta Falcons, but he might not deem those franchises to be an attractive job. So he could go that route, go the television route, y'all. Take a year off, just kind of take a break, to decompress, get his mind right, and then next year in 2027 he'll be ready to go, y'all. But man, whatever he chooses to do, Mike Tomlin is going to do well at it because he is truly one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen, y'all. So again, breaking news, Mike Tomlin has announced he is stepping down after 19 seasons as head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there you have it, man. That was me reacting to Mike Tomlin stepping down. Remember, y'all, last good message of what? Make sure you get your daily dose, y'all. I'm in it, man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.